Eclipses, there's more births, there's more deaths. Most people don't even know they have intuition or that it's real. The world goes crazy.
Her partner was stabbed to death. Her baby died after being thrown from a car. Another child has been injured, and Johnson herself died in a car crash. Now, investigators found tarot cards and black feathers at the crash scene, and they believe that the eclipse may have been a factor in these killings, though the motive is still unclear.
At the time of this video, this channel, Black Virginia, has only covered 4 cases, so keep that in mind as I say. Today's case is one of the more psychologically polarizing cases I've ever shared. And because it's still being unraveled, the motivation behind what took place on April 8th, 2024 is still a mystery. But what we do know for certain is what follows. Danielle Johnson, otherwise known as Danielle Ayoka, was a 34-year-old LA influencer known mostly for her astrology-based content. Her preferred social media outlet was X, where she amassed over 100,000 followers. She shared her knowledge on the 12 different astrological signs, different candle and herb rituals native to her culture, and the art of Reiki, amongst other spiritual-esque topics. She was a certified Reiki master and apparently also trained in over 10 alternative healing modalities. She sold these services and was seemingly beloved by her customers and followers. Also worth a mention, she had a music career on the side, with her most popular track, Weekend, having earned over 200,000 Spotify listens. Her life seemed to be quite idyllic. She built a business for herself that seemed to be going well. She had a fan base of 100,000 people globally, 2 beautiful daughters, and a devoted partner, 29-year-old Jalen Allen Cheney. Jalen was a technician in the Air Force, and the pair had been living together for 3 years at this point. It is incredibly important to note there were never any reports, legal or otherwise, to suggest that domestic violence was a concern within this young family. In fact, from what we can see now, Jalen and Danielle seem to be a beautiful and solid couple raising 2 daughters. So on April 8th, 2024, at around 4:30 a.m., when police found Danielle and Jalen's 8-month-old baby girl deceased in the middle of the 405 freeway, this was quite unbelievable. The 8-month-old baby was pronounced dead at the scene due to what is being called major injuries. A 9-year-old girl was also found on the side of the freeway, also injured but alive. This girl would be identified as the eldest daughter of Danielle. A half hour after this, Danielle would be found mangled inside a black Porsche Cayenne off Vincent Road. Witnesses reported seeing her SUV speeding at over 100 miles per hour on the Pacific Coast Highway before crashing into a tree. According to the surviving daughter, Danielle drove out of their Woodland Hills complex with her and her baby sister in the SUV. She rammed through the gate and slowed the vehicle once she reached the 405. She then told her older daughter to get out. However, when the 9-year-old, who was at this point holding her baby sister in her arms, refused, Danielle pushed her out of the moving vehicle in the middle of the freeway. Danielle sped off and later would be found by police thanks to several 911 calls reporting a single car collision. She was identified and pronounced dead at the scene. She was 34. 2 hours after emergency services located Danielle and her 2 daughters, 911 would be called again, but this time from the Woodland Hills complex. Early Monday morning, mathematically this would put us at approximately 7 a.m., a concerned neighbor saw blood in the complex corridor and elevator. Recalling an argument that was heard from Jalen and Danielle's unit at around 3:40 a.m. Monday morning, this neighbor immediately called emergency services. According to him, paramedics on that 911 call had him trace where the blood appeared to be coming from, and once it led to Jalen and Danielle's unit, the paramedic instructed him to enter. But once he did, what he would find would be the last thing anyone would want to see first thing in the morning. The body of 29-year-old Jalen Allen Cheney, stabbed to death on the kitchen floor. Reports later issued stated Jaylin had been stabbed in the heart. The sole survivor of her mother's random killing spree, Danielle's 9-year-old daughter reportedly told investigators she witnessed Danielle stab Jaylin on the couch. She then dragged his body into the kitchen before rushing out of the complex with her 2 girls, which brings us to where we are now in this wild story, the aftermath and investigation. This is still a relatively newer case, and because of how recent it is, there are still more questions than answers, as the families involved, along with investigators, try to piece together this tragedy. Of course, there are many individuals online who have seemingly already solved it, like this ex-user. That girl was tormented because she had opened doors to allow demons in dabbling in tarot and astrology and spells. Or this one. Postpartum psychosis turned spiritual psychosis is what this sounds like. She killed her children and husband because of the eclipse, says another. Ah, yes, that total solar eclipse of April 8th, 2024. An event that Danielle seemed to believe could spell the end of civilization, a true apocalypse. In the weeks and days leading up to Danielle's partial family annihilation, multiple interesting posts were made from her MysticxLipstick X account. Things like, if you want a true utopian society, we better get to work now until 2043. Pluto in Aquarius is bringing a serious age of reform. We have to either go higher or rot lower. Or this one, in which she just typed the word love in all capitals, seemingly until the character count had been met. This eclipse is the epitome of spiritual warfare. Get your protection on and your heart in the right place. The world is very obviously changing right now, and if you ever needed to pick a side, the time to do right in your life is now. Stay strong. You've got this. Her final post reading, wake up, wake up. The apocalypse is here. Everyone who has ears, listen. Your time to choose what you believe is now. If you believe a new world is possible for the people, retweet now. There is power in choice. There is power in choice. Repost to make the choice for the collective. Along with all her fear-inducing conspiracy theory reposts, her account appears to paint a picture of a rapidly degrading mental illness. Rumors have swirled around indicating postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and bipolar disorder, to name the main theories. Of course, we may never know for certain what actually provoked Danielle to murder her partner and infant daughter, and then to erase herself. We may never know if any of this was her actual intention, a crime of passion, or a psychotic break, maybe a combination of multiple things. But as is the 21st century tradition, like weeds, numerous conspiracy theories have randomly sprouted to explain why Danielle committed these heinous crimes. Assertions such as this crime being the result of repressed Christianity, spiritual psychosis, the political argument of mental health treatment being inaccessible to Black women. That last explanation seems just as improbable as the former ones. Danielle, by all accounts, seemed to be financially stable, if not affluent. And of course, we've got the hate comments sprinkled in the midst of her platform where her grieving family can see. She's in hell. What an embarrassing broad. You're in hell. She'll never rest in peace. In my African spirituality, her ancestors are grilling her with questions and shame for eternity. Rest in piss. After this, we find animosity directed towards members of our societies open to astrology and other esoteric forms of spirituality. And yet, at the center of this current cyber mayhem, we have real victims. A 29-year-old man, brother, son, and father. An 8-month-old infant, daughter, granddaughter, and sister. A 9-year-old girl who lost everything she knew that morning of August 8th. And 2 families in mourning. My condolences to both the Johnson and Cheney families.